Summit Creek, Texas, was the kind of town most people drove through without a second thought. With its dusty roads and quiet stillness, it seemed like a place untouched by the chaos of the world. But beneath its sleepy exterior lay an undercurrent of danger, one that Helen Carter could sense pressing in on the edges of her small, peaceful home. Helen, a 70-year-old former combat nurse, lived with her 12-year-old granddaughter, Samantha. Since the loss of her son, Michael, a former DEA agent, Helen had taken on the role of both guardian and protector. The only other member of their small family was Buck, Michael's former military K-9, a Belgian Malinois trained for combat and protection. That morning, as Helen made breakfast, Samantha sat at the table, flipping through an astronomy book. Buck, usually calm, paced restlessly by the door, his ears perked. "Morning, Grandma," Samantha murmured without looking up. "You're up early," Helen replied. Samantha hesitated, glancing at Buck. He kept pacing all night. Helen's brow furrowed. Buck had instincts honed from years in the field. If he was uneasy, there was a reason. Outside, Summit Creek remained deceptively still. But for Helen, the silence was more ominous than peaceful. Later that day, Samantha noticed two men in business attire lingering near the school fence. They weren't teachers, nor did they seem like parents waiting for their kids. A chill prickled at the base of her neck. During lunch, she saw a black SUV idling across the street. It was the same vehicle she had spotted near their house the day before. The driver sat rigid, adjusting his sunglasses every few minutes. At home, Helen received an urgent call from David Reynolds, a longtime family friend and FBI agent. "Helen," his voice was grave, "Victor Grant's men have been spotted in Texas again. They might be looking for whatever Michael was working on before he died. If so, you and Samantha could be in danger." Helen gripped the phone tighter. She had always suspected that Michael's death wasn't just the result of a routine operation gone wrong. Now, she had confirmation. She turned to Buck, who sat by the door, growling lowly. "Looks like your instincts were right, old boy." That night, the break-in confirmed Helen's worst fears. The back door burst open, and four masked intruders stormed inside. Helen barely had time to react before Buck launched into action. He took down the first attacker instantly, his powerful jaws clamping onto the man's forearm. The second man raised a gun, but Helen fired first, sending a warning shot into the ceiling. "Get out," she ordered. The remaining intruders hesitated. Buck released the injured man, snarling as he stepped toward them. The message was clear: leave now, or don't leave at all. They bolted. Helen exhaled shakily, locking eyes with Buck. "We need to leave now." By morning, Helen had packed their essentials. David called again. "I'll meet you in a safe location, but we have to move fast. Grant's men won't stop until they find what they're looking for." Samantha was still at school. Helen grabbed the car keys. Buck jumped into the passenger seat as they sped toward the school. When they arrived, Helen's heart pounded as she scanned the parking lot. Then, she saw it. The black SUV, parked near the side entrance. Samantha, clutching her backpack, was walking fast, looking over her shoulder. Behind her, a man in a black suit closed in. "Samantha!" Helen shouted. The girl turned just as Buck leaped from the car, sprinting toward the man. The attacker barely had time to react before Buck's teeth sank into his arm, forcing him to the ground. Helen ran to Samantha, pulling her into the car as Buck returned, panting. "Buckle up," she ordered. They sped away, tires screeching. The fight had begun. Following Michael's hidden instructions, they found themselves at an abandoned cabin deep in the Texas desert. "Raven's Nest," Helen murmured, remembering Michael's words about a fallback location. Inside, they discovered a metal lockbox buried beneath the floorboards. Within it, a laptop and stacks of classified documents detailed the cartel's operation, including names of corrupt officials. "This is what they're after," Samantha whispered. Before they could fully process it, Buck started barking at the door. Helen's gut twisted. "They found us." Outside, headlights flooded the clearing. Armed men surrounded the cabin. David's voice crackled over the radio. "Hold tight. We're on our way." Helen locked eyes with Samantha. "Get to the back exit. Buck will cover us." The first gunshot shattered the silence. Helen fired back, providing cover as Samantha and Buck slipped through the rear. Bullets slammed into the walls as they sprinted into the woods. Just as Helen thought they were in the clear, an attacker lunged from the shadows, grabbing Samantha. she screamed. Then Buck struck. He latched onto the man's throat, dragging him down. A single gunshot rang out. David arrived, his rifle smoking. Let's move. Their final destination was Iron Haven, Michael's ultimate fallback location, a fortified bunker hidden deep in the hills. There, they met a team of FBI agents preparing for the inevitable attack. Grant will throw everything he has at us, David warned. But this time, we're ready. As night fell, the battle erupted. Cartel mercenaries swarmed the compound. Gunfire, explosions, and the roar of helicopters filled the night. Buck darted through the chaos, taking down enemies one by one. In the final moments, Victor Grant himself arrived, attempting to escape via helicopter. But Buck had other plans. The K-9 launched himself at Grant, dragging him from the aircraft just as an FBI sniper took the final shot. It was over. With the evidence recovered, Grant's empire crumbled. Corrupt officials were exposed, and justice was finally served. Samantha stood at the courthouse steps, reporters swarming around her. How does it feel to bring down a cartel? One asked. She looked down at Buck, scratching his ears. I didn't do it alone. Months later, as they settled into a new life, Samantha whispered to Buck, Dad would be proud. Buck wagged his tail, his duty fulfilled, but his watch never ending. The legend of Michael Carter and his fearless K-9 would live on.